Hi, this is Natalie from Namaste Farms, and today I'm going to teach you how to choose inexpensive commercial yarns to make a super chic fringe scarf that looks like it was made from expensive handspun. Joann's is the place to go. You might have Michael's, something like that, any sort of craft store that has like a Patton's yarn or maybe a Lion brand. The two things you definitely have to have, your iPhone or your phone with applications and the credit card. What we have here is I have an application from the App Store and it says Joann, and you go on it and it's going to give us coupons, and you can actually get the coupons straight from your phone and they'll use them in the store. I think we can probably make a scarf that's worth a couple $100 for under 25 bucks. Let's see. Okay, so here we are in Joann's, and this is for the fringe super chic scarf. I am always going to look for a single ply yarn like this, like a roving yarn. Martha Stewart has hers here, but this is a pretty little skein. We also can either look for Lion brand or Patton's. Patton's has roving yarn too, and the roving yarn indicates that it's always going to be single ply. I love this one too, except for the part where it's got some acrylic in it, and I'm unsure if this acrylic's going to dye, and I want to dye with Kool-Aid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy one and we'll just see, but then I'm going to go over to the Patton's. Let's go over and see. I'll show you, because honestly it's like an incredible deal, especially because I'm my Joann's coupon. Oh, one on the floor. Here we go. This Patton's roving yarn, 100% wool, will dye amazing. And then we have this one that we can maybe just try and see when we're dyeing this to see if it works, and the next time we make a scarf we can use this. I'm going to say we need about four skeins of it, and let's say that we didn't have this off-white. You can still dye any other color with Kool-Aid, believe me. It's a little harder to over dye a darker color with Kool-Aid, but certainly this one I could dye, and definitely this one. Anyway, okay, let's go up to the register. Okay, so here I go. Let's see if I'm under budget. I'm very excited to show you my coupons. Have to stay under budget. Hi, it's Natalie again, and we're back from Joann's. Now, I honestly think that I'm going to be able to make two scarves for under $25, and the reason why is because I did like a prototype to see how it would turn out, and this is what it looks like. And this only used half of my product, half of the yarn. It is the Martha Stewart Lofty Wool Blend. So I used 1.5 skeins of this, and with my discount it was $6. Well, actually it was $5.99 a skein, right? And I bought 3 of them. But I did also decide to get, I went back, because that would have been right, 6 times 3, 18. I went back and got some of this. And this is the Martha Stewart roving wool, and I'm going to use this in the next scarf. Okay, so I just want to tell you what I did with this one was a little bit different than what we're going to do with the one I'm going to do right now. That was a lot of words, but this, it's all going to be the same basic premise, except the one I'm going to do now, I'm going to dye with Kool-Aid. Just household things I have in the house. Okay, so to start the scarf though, we're going to take it, and there's going to be no knitting or crocheting. But what you are going to have to do is you're going to make this, like, I guess this would be a slip knot. And we're going to, like, they kind of call it finger crocheting, is what they call. Because this is going to be the middle of our scarf. So I'm going to take and I'm going to loop it through like this. And I'm just going to make a chain. Right? And this will be the base, so however long this is going to be, that's how long your scarf will be, except it's going to have fringe on the end, so it'll add a little bit of length. So you're just going to keep doing this all the way through. I'm going to try and hurry, so you don't have to just watch this. It's really boring, I know. And I kind of want it to be even. I don't want the loops to be too big because it'll get really misshapen, and that's not what we're looking for, obviously. And I'm kind of excited about dyeing this. In my head, I have an idea of what it's going to look like. I think it's going to be awesome. You can use food coloring or you can use Kool-Aid. You have to use vinegar as the fixative so that it adheres, but I tried to dye a piece of this yesterday because I was concerned, you remember in Joann's, that because it has an acrylic thread that plies it, that wasn't going to dye. But in fact, it picked up the dye perfectly. Because technically anything, I think polyester isn't supposed to pick up dye, but if it's nylon, it will pick up dye. And this says it's acrylic, so technically I think it's not supposed to. For whatever reason it does. Okay, I think this is a good length. So I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to have to tie it. Okay, so here's the base of my super chic scarf right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out, and I want to show you something. When I lay this out, there's specific places we're going to put fringe, and I'm going to show you. If I use all of this, it's going to just look like a reproduction of this, but with the exception of this voile. This is called voile. And this ribbon, right, this silk ribbon. So I want it to look different. I want to be able to make two completely different scarves. And so I'm going to use some of this roving wool right here, and this is going to dye beautifully. And I'm not a perfectionist person the way I do things, so this is how I'm going to measure it, just with my hands like this. And the actual length doesn't really matter. You just don't want it to be too short, because you want the ends to lay down nicely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to cut it, because this is going to be part of my fringe. Okay? So, here we go. And then I'm going to cut this other end. Let me just throw those scissors because they're not sharp or anything. Okay. Now, there's a specific place where I want to put the fringe. Right? And I'm going to show you where on this. Here, I'm going to move this chair. Now, if I just hang fringe off the ends, it's going to misshapen this. And I don't want it all to like fall. So I'm going to look for these areas. Look in between here. See that? I'm going to want to put fringe in here. Right in the middle. And then I'm going to do it on then I'm going to put a fringe on the side here so that it doesn't move. Just like that. Okay? And I'm going to go over the entire scarf and do that. And I'm going to just start with this wool, but then I'm going to move to some of this. So here, see right where this like loop is right here? Right in there, do you see? Right in here, I'm going to pull it apart. But I'm going to go up to this one, right there. I'm going to put one here. Okay. And then I'm going to put one actually on the other side of this. Right in here, and actually I'm going to anchor it. I'm going to anchor it to this side. Okay. I love this roving yarn because when I'm making these things, to be honest with you, I don't really like to use double ply yarn. I think I've talked about that when we were picking the yarn. I like to use single ply yarn because it looks more like hand spun. See, I'm going right in between here. Right in between there. I just think that the idea is to make this scarf not only be inexpensive, but to be chic, it has to look like, you know, it was made by an artist, an artisan, and not, you know, bought in the store. And the one thing I can't stand is I can't stand things to be made with a bunch of acrylic, to be honest with you. Stop. I'm sorry about that. This is like typical Natalie Namaste Farms fashion is we have to have dogs barking and growling and playing, scratching my leg, jumping up on me. So we're just going to keep going through this and see, and I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is it kind of looks like I'm doing willy-nilly, and I am. Because what you have to do is you have to just look for, you know, you don't want to have bald patches. And the reason why I'm using some of this yarn, besides the fact that I don't want to have it look like the other scarf I made, is because this is a lot lighter and airier than this yarn. See? The gauge is different. And by adding this thinner yarn, it's going to make it not so heavy looking, even though this yarn is super lofty, hence the reason the name Lofty's in the name. And one of the things that I just love is that we can take this and we can make it so beautiful by using just household dyes. I mean, come on, Kool-Aid or your cake dyes or food coloring, and it's going to be color fast once you use vinegar. Okay, so we're going to cut away for a minute, and I'm going to continue doing this so I'm not belaboring the point. And when I change to the other yarn, we'll pan back in. Okay, so I've just been adding fringe wherever I can. Really, what I want to make clear, what I was talking about earlier is when I had made the this chain. Okay, so I'm going to show you. When I make this chain, and there will be this area right in between here. See that I want to lock it down so it doesn't move. I really want to put fringe in here. I want to put fringe everywhere where there's a loose part, but I specifically want to anchor the fringe to this so that this middle part, this middle piece doesn't become misshapen and like pull. So once again, this chain, I think this is a really important part, because on the first one that I did that's up there on that jacket, I didn't know that because I was just like troubleshooting, and it sort of got misshapen, so I had to take all my fringe off and start over, and then I just figured out how to lock these pieces down. So what I'm talking about here, let's move this out of the way, is that you have right here, these places in here. My hands are so ugly and I'm so sorry, but that's what hard work does. And if I put a piece in here on every single chain on that part, if I break it open and tie it to the one next to it, this thing won't become misshapen and pull apart. I mean, it won't pull apart like come undone. It just, it just ends up losing its shape, and one hole will become big and one will become little. And so, but what I've done is, look at this. I have literally covered it. There's places that are, pretty much on both sides and in the middle, and I did a lot of that anchoring that I'm talking about. Like on almost every chain, I've anchored somewhere to the side so that it won't become misshapen. And then I just find bare spots and start adding fringe like crazy. And so I guess the next question would be, well, how long should you make the fringe? Well, that's completely up to you. What I did is I just hold my arms out to this arm's length like this. Sorry. Like that. And then I'm just doing this. I'm not a big measurer, so I don't, that's just not what I do, because I'm usually in a hurry. And then, this is really literally what I did. And then I cut both ends of it, and so I don't know how long that would be. I don't know, 16 inches or something like that. So that my fringe would end up to be like, it looks like 8 inches or something on each side, or 10 inches. And then I just start adding it. And sometimes I put them around both pieces. See, there's two. Sometimes I'll put it around both, like that. And sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll just put it on one. Okay, but I'm going to show you now. The camera will pan away for a minute because I want to show you how much fringe is on here. There is about 1.5 skeins of this amazing roving wool. That is from Martha Stewart. Lion Brand Yarns, Martha Stewart. And I feel like that's, I'm 5'7", I'm, not super short, but I think this is a great length for me. And the chain I just made as long as I wanted, knowing that there was going to be fringe added to the end. If you're short, you don't want to have it probably as long as this. And the shorter you are, you don't want to make it too bulky, right? But since I'm fairly, tall, I can have it long, this long, and kind of, I want it to be kind of, not super skinny, but, but I'll just put this, like, it's not going to look anything like this by the time I'm done. This is like really, we're like in the middle now of where we should be. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, just for texture, is I'm going to take some of this yarn that I love of Martha's, and I don't know Martha personally. I'm going to take this, it's got some mohair on it from spinning, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to put just a few pieces in here. And you know what I like about this? Because it's hefty. It's hefty, and it's just got a nice kind of heavy texture that I like. And I like, when I dyed the piece, I just dyed the one piece as a test, I loved the way it picked up the dye. And it wasn't really dye, it was Kool-Aid that I used. Well, Kool-Aid is dye in the end, right? But I like it because it's not toxic, and you can have your kids help you. Now here, I would just start adding this in. And what's this? This looks like it's probably about, I'm going to say like 20 inches, so it's like 10 inches on each side. It's going to be 10 inches on each side because I put it in like this. And I'm just going to start finding places to put it. Doesn't really matter where. I kind of like it on the sides though, I don't know. It's just random. This is like really randomly. But here's one place, see, where I didn't, you can see a bare spot here, so I'm going to find bare spots. I used, I think, pretty much almost exactly 1.5 skeins of the roving wool. And on this, I'm not going to even use, that won't even be a half a skein. It's literally going to be like maybe 1/4 of a skein of this, this other Martha Stewart yarn. So I just took the tag off. Where is it? This one that I absolutely love. It's the Lofty Wool Blend. And so altogether, when it's all said and done, for 2 scarves, I will probably have used, see, it would have been one, it would have been about 1 3/4 of the Lofty Wool Blend and 1.5 skeins of this wool roving yarn of the Martha Stewart. And this yarn, this roving wool one, it was only, with my discount, it was like $2.50 for each skein. I mean, that's, you just honestly, you know, with the Joann's, when you have the Joann's coupons that I was talking about that are on your phone, that with that app, I mean, and what happens is if you know, are really pressed for money and to keep under budget, you might have to go back the next day, but they're usually pretty good about letting you use your coupon twice in one day, and I actually did that. Like, I went and I bought some yarn, and then 2 seconds later I went back up to the register with my phone, and because she said I could do it. She actually told me, go ahead and do it. It's, you know, we don't get mad at you. But like, remember the old days when we walk in the coupons, they take them from you. But you can actually use the same coupon on your phone more than once. If you have people that are super nice at Joann's and they're trying to help you out. So I mean, that right there, I got each of these for $5.99, right? And I only used 1 3/4 of them. And then, you know, $2 and something cents for each one of my wool roving yarns. Hey, shush. Shush, dogs. It's just, I wish that I have so many dogs at this point because everybody knows that I'm on this rescue frenzy right now. And so we're always going to have dogs barking in the background. I don't think there's any way to avoid it. But we're saving lives, and it just makes my heart so happy. Uh-oh. That didn't sound good. Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. It's just the china that's breaking. Joking. Okay. So I'm going to continue to get this in here. And we're going to cut away. And when I'm done doing this, I am going to show you how we're going to change the color of it and make it even more amazing than it already is. Okay, so now I have my water really, really hot in my sink. Basically you have to have like boiling hot water. My sink water is that hot. It's sterilization hot. So I need the scarf to be hot because when I put this Kool-Aid on it, I want it to absorb right away so my colors don't end up getting muddy. If you put it on and it's not super hot, your colors are going to get muddy. So I'm literally putting exceptionally hot water on this scarf. Then I'm going to take, well, I'll bring it over here. Sorry. My poor husband has to like constantly follow me around because I never stay in one place. I'm putting vinegar in here, and this is just the vinegar I had. Don't just use any apple cider vinegar or something. You know, it's going to be your fixative. Okay, I'm going to, ow, hot. I need to get this vinegar all over this because this is what's going to make my Kool-Aid grab a hold, just like Easter eggs. When we're writing Easter eggs, oh, this does not smell pleasant though, I'll tell you that. But it's going to in a minute when I get my Kool-Aid on it. Now, so literally, here's the Kool-Aid. It's just like the Kool-Aid that we all know and love, right? And I just had this laying around. I love this. Let's try this. I love this lime color. I really do. This is like one of my new favorite colors. And I wish I had some. I only have pink lemonade. I really wanted some cherry. Oh well, I might have some cherry in my pantry. So I'm going to get rid of some of this excess. I'm going to put it on this plate here. And the reason I'm putting it on this plate is just so I can show you. Now, I've got the green in there. Let's put the green, because I think I want this on the end. I'm going to put really hot water, because like I said, I'm going to want it to take a hold. Okay, I want it to really take a hold of this. Everything's hot, because heat is what is going to make this become color fast with the vinegar. Okay, and I could have used food coloring if I wanted. And I have some food coloring in there, and you know, you never know, I might just use some. And I think this is a little dark for me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and throw some lemon on there, because I want it to be just a little bit lighter. I don't want it to be like Kelly, you know, like Kelly green or like 4-H green. I want it to be like bright chartreusey green. And see how I'm already making it bright? I'm just like squeezing out some of the excess. Right, and we can add, I can change the colors. Like at first it was like really a little bit too, like I said, too 4-H-y. I'm gonna get rid of it there, because I really want to spruce it up with some yellow. Let's just try. See what happens. Look, it's already helping. It's already working. And Kool-Aid, you can go to like the dollar store, you know, and Kool-Aid is very inexpensive. Okay. It actually smells delicious now. Vinegar smelled horrible. Okay, so the reason we don't want a lot of excess in here is because we're going to put it in the microwave and we don't want it to bleed. If we have a lot of excess, it's going to bleed. Okay. Now, my next color I think I'm going to put on here is more of this lemonade, because I don't want to put a color next to the green that is going to turn it into mud. I don't like muddy colors in anything, in any of my dyeing. And if I put red in there, it would turn like to a browny, yucky color. So this is a really light yellow. And we'll just keep doing that. We'll put yellow. Okay. And now, let's see. I think it's working pretty good. Very nice, very nice. Perfect, perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to try to get this pink lemonade. I'm going to put pink up here. I'm just dropping it in here. I know you think it looks like you have no method to what you're doing, but just wait. You wait. I do not want it touching my green. Okay, we're almost done. And then I'm going to stick it in the microwave. Okay, let me just do this. I'm going to do this a little bit. And we'll stick it in the microwave and we'll come back. Okay, so I just started throwing Kool-Aid, literally. I was just, because it was absorbing this Kool-Aid like crazy. So I started grabbing the raspberry and everything and just doing what I could to put more color in. Now I just put vinegar in there. I'm going to try to, because I just really don't want this touching my pink, because I don't want to muddy. So we've got to stick it in here. That's vinegar, as you just saw. Okay. My hands are dying. That's awesome. And then I'm going to go ahead and try and put it on the other side. Now remember, most of the excess I took out, but there's vinegar and water in here, and dye, and I'm just going to dump more vinegar on. I know you're thinking, why is she doing that? Doesn't she measure anything? No, as a matter of fact, I don't measure anything. I'm going to go over here to my microwave, and all this is food, right? The dye, everything was food. The dye, the vinegar, and now I'm going to steam it. My hands are burning. You can only imagine. Citric acid and vinegar. You know, actually alone by itself, the Kool-Aid would have probably been fine, but I still, without the vinegar, but I still use vinegar because I want it to be color fast in hot water. So what's going to happen is this bag is going to puff up, and that's when I know that it'll be ready to take out. As soon as that bag gets really, really puffy. And I'm not going to open the bag. That just defeats the purpose. If I'm steaming something, it gets really filled with heat and steam, and then I open it. That's like, why would I do that? The whole point is that I want it to steam. So once it gets big and puffy, I'm going to stop the microwave, and I'm going to let it sit in that steam. So we're going to cut again, and I'm going to show you. Okay, I don't even know how many minutes this has been on. Every microwave is different, right? So there's no point in me telling you. I think it was probably a couple minutes. But see where it's at? How it's ready to burst? This is exactly what we want. Now I'm gonna I wanna be careful because I can break the bag if I'm not careful. And I don't want it to be broken, but I'm gonna show you how I know if this is ready. If I look at the liquid at the bottom and it has color in it, it's not ready. It means that it hasn't adhered. Or maybe I put too much dye or whatever in. Well, I know that Kool-Aid doesn't have too much dye in it. I know it's really hard for Kool-Aid to not be color fast because it simply doesn't have enough color in it. And this just sucks it up. But I'm going to look and I can see that liquid? Can you see the liquid? The liquid is clear. See here? The liquid right here? Doesn't have any color in it. Guess what? That means I did a great job. I know, shocking, huh? Okay, now I can go ahead and let my steam out because it's already been absorbed. I'm going to want to get my water really hot because this is really hot. And if I don't have if I change temperatures, I'm going to felt this. And that's not what I want. Okay, I let my steam out there. And this is where you really see, too, if it's going to be color fast. Ow, it's so hot. If any color bleeds out in here, this means it's not color fast. And so why am I rinsing it right now? I want to get all that vinegar out. Because that vinegar smells horrible. So, ow, it's really hot, but my hands are working hands, you know. And you're probably not able to touch this like I am, but oh, it kind of reminds me of sushi. It's like wasabi and the ginger. Actually, I kind of dig this. Okay, I'm going to put some soap. You know, you have to be careful. I just put a little soap in my hand, a little bit of this unicorn power scour. Hot. It totally reminds me of sushi. Now, if you could have used different colors, those are the colors that I had, and then I did throw a little bit of the purple raspberry thing on here to make the green a little darker, which I did off camera. Okay, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to squeeze out all of the extra water. I'm going to take it outside to dry, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to have a picture of me wearing my super chic scarf. That is under not only is it under $25, I mean, it's like way under $25 because I made 2 scarves and I still have a lot of product left over. Did I just do that? Anyhow, so one thing I do want to say is that Kimberly is going to make the directions for this, and she's going to have it on a pattern so that you can review, because you know it's really hard to like explain how much everything costs and explain how much I used of everything, especially since I don't really pay attention to how much I used of everything. I mean, everything that I do is really sort of a rough guesstimate, but we will have all that information and it will be available at our Etsy shop at Simple Patterns. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can email me at littly@mac.com and I'm happy to answer them. Find me on Facebook, find me on Blog Talk, and find me on Ravelry, Namaste Farms. Thank you so much, and happy scarf making.